it would be nice, but I'm wondering if it's not too hot. Let me just get my water.
It's beautiful, your patio. I'm very jealous. Maybe not of the heat, but of the view.
Yeah, well, I quite like the heat, to be honest. But
Yeah, boy, you must,
much.
considering where you reside.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's so lovely to meet you finally and to see your
I
face.
know.
I know we have like lots to chat about. So I'm going to launch into my little intro and then we'll get into our questions and should be lots of fun. So here we go. Welcome back to Talk Fiction, the podcast dedicated to entertainment media's most overlooked underdogs, fiction writers. I'm your host, Meg Olders, author of C. Smile and creator of the dynamic newsletter anthology, Stock Fiction. My guest today is poet and novelist Francesca Bozer. Francesca is the author of Illicit Croissants at Dawn, a decadent collection of poems exploring midlife, self-love, and the everyday magic that surrounds us. She also hosts the Substack newsletter For Fun and Then Some, and her novel, Just Like a Movie, a vivacious romantic comedy set in Ibiza, will make its debut from Empress Editions in the spring of 2027. I will share links to Francesca's poetry book, newsletter, and socials in the show notes, but without further ado, allow me to introduce my distinguished guest, Francesca Bozer. Welcome.
Hi. I don't think I'm very distinguished.
Oh, you're so distinguished. And did I pronounce your last name correctly? I should have asked you that first.
Sort of. Yeah,
Close.
it's a funny name to pronounce in English. It's Bossert. Bossert.
Bossert.
But everyone says it Bossert or
Yes, I never would have, even if I knew that's how to pronounce it, I think I would have tripped over it in my intro.
Yeah. Yeah, don't worry.
But thank you for clarifying.
It's French, so it's
Yes.
yeah.
Well, you know, my husband's family is Dutch. So right now I'm working on my Dutch language skills because we're going there this summer.
Have you been before?
Yes, I've been twice now. So I went once with my husband when were we married yet? We must have been married. We went in the wintertime, actually, after Christmas with his parents. And then I went with my husband and my two children 4 years ago in the summertime. And the four of us are going again this summer. So,
Yeah, I don't know Holland very well, but I have a lot of Dutch friends.
oh, yes, it's beautiful. And, you know, just like where you are, from what I can tell from the photos you share, it's just very green in that part of the world. And I love
Very
that
flat.
part. Yes, flat and green. Unlike where I live, which is very rocky and mountainous. But yeah.
Yeah, actually, this part of Spain is very mountainous too, hilly and yeah,
Hmm.
because we're quite close to the Pyrenees, and there's still snow on them. When we were flying back from England yesterday, I saw there was still snow on the
Oh,
mountains.
wow. Well, mountains will do that. They have all their own seasons up there. So, first thing I want to say is thank you again for sending me your book. I have read it cover to cover, your poetry book, and it is beautiful.
Thank
I think
you.
what I like most about poetry collections is they almost feel like albums,
Yeah,
like musical collections.
yeah. Yes, you're right. I never thought of it that way, but yes.
You can dip in for like one song, or you can just sit
Mhm.
and like listen to the whole thing. And
Mhm.
every song is a little bit different, and it's just
Mhm.
so I really appreciated that. And I'm excited to talk to you more about your poetry writing specifically, but also about your novel writing because you do both.
Mhm.
So, firstly, I'm just curious because I've now sort of come into contact with you and what you're doing through Empress Editions because we're both Empresses
I know.
having our works published through them. So, I'm just meeting so many wonderful people through that group.
Oh, am I?
But I know very little about kind of your early writing history. So the question I had for you is, what is your earliest memory or your earliest experience with bringing stories or poems to the page? Like, when did you start writing and fall in love with it?
When I was very small already, as soon as I could write, I started writing stories. There were a lot of pony stories because I've always been horse crazy. And
Hmm.
I also wrote a play in French about a princess and a gypsy. It was a little romance, I guess.
Ooh.
And it and that was put on in the village in the little theater production. Of course, I had to be the princess. So
Oh,
yeah,
of course.
yeah, of course.
Did you get to cast your gypsy in that one?
I think so. Yes, it's a long time ago. I was probably about
Yeah.
7 or 8. So
So an early romantic, I was
I
the
was,
same.
yeah.
I was just relaying to my children because they're in like middle school now. So my daughter will be 11 next week and my son is 13. And you know, sometimes I ask them about, oh, do you have a crush on anyone? Because I swear I was 7 when I
Oh yeah,
had
well,
my
me
first
too.
crush.
Me
Yeah, I
too.
was very crushy as a child.
Hmm.
Still am as a grown woman. But
Hmm.
so thank you for that. That's wonderful. I assumed you'd been at it a long
Hmm.
time, but it's
Yeah.
always nice to find out because some people do come to it later in life.
No, I always liked to write. I wrote lots of letters too. In fact, the one of the reasons I kind of became a bit more confident in my writing was because I had a pen pal when I was probably about 16, 15 or 16, who lived in Singapore. And I wrote her these long, long, very newsy letters, probably about all my crushes as well.
Oh, that's wonderful. Almost like journaling, but with a
Yeah.
friend
And
on
she
the
said,
other
"Oh,
end.
Jessica, you're so funny. You should write a book."
And you took her advice.
Yeah.
How did you connect with that person? Was there like a little pen pal program or something?
It's pretty, actually, that whole story is pretty crazy. She was the best friend of a girl who came to my school when I was probably 15, 16, who had lived in Singapore previously and would tell me all these crazy stories about this girl, her friend in Singapore, who's called Sandra. And so Sandra and I started, writing letters like we used to back in the day because it's actually really nice. I wish
I
we
know.
still did that.
I do too.
Mm.
I did a letter exchange with another writer. This is a couple of years ago now on Substack, where we exchanged letters and
Yeah.
we published them for a couple exchanges.
Hmm.
I miss pen paling as well.
Yeah.
There were a lot of things as I was kind of looking into you and doing a little bit of research before we chatted. There were a few things that stood out to me. You have this wonderful post on your Instagram page that you've pinned of your daughter, Olivia, who
Yeah.
did the illustrations for your poetry collection, and they're beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Honestly, the cover just stunning. I love flowers
Yeah.
and insects and pastries. So
Hmm. There was everything in
I was
there.
yes, it has all of those things on it. And just the colors are gorgeous throughout and really lovely. But what was great about this post is it's kind of a little biography of how you came to create this book.
Mm.
So she tells us in the post that you turned to writing poetry when you had some health issues that sort of interfered with you continuing to ride horses, which
Mm.
we now know from your pony stories and also
Mm.
from what I know from the post was a real passion of yours.
Yeah.
So I'd like to know what it was about poetry specifically that attracted you during that time. And had you ever written poetry before? And, what did that practice
Hmm.
do for you while you were healing?
Hmm. I had never written poetry before. I had never really been interested in poetry before. And I think it was someone on Instagram was posting prompts, just word prompts. And I was really ill and I was so exhausted and I had no joy in my life at all because I just couldn't do anything. I couldn't go anywhere. I was just sick all day.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, I'll just try and see, see if I enjoy it, see if it leads to anything else. And once I started, I just couldn't stop. I would wait every day for when the next prompt, when is it going to be and what word is it going to be? And in fact, illicit croissant at dawn, that came from the prompt illicit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just the
Yeah,
word. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And once I started, I couldn't stop. And it got to the point where when the prompts stopped, because they were seasonal ones,
Hmm.
and I just kept on going. I would just pick a random word in the dictionary and I just kept on doing it and
I
doing it.
love that.
Yeah, and yeah.
That is such a brilliant and simple idea
Hmm.
because some people really do like prompts. For instance, when I started my Substack, I used stock photography as my prompt for
Yeah,
my
yeah.
fiction. And so there's endless images that you can find. So it's kind of the same thing. But I love that when you ran out of fuel, you just went and found
Hmm.
more. So that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
And then it just kept on going by itself. I would just wake up in the morning and sometimes like poems just pop out of my head before I got out of bed. It got pretty crazy actually.
No, but that's wonderful. And it brings me to my next question.
Hmm.
So, first, can I ask who Cedric is? Is that your husband?
Yes.
Okay. I
Hmm.
just wanted to ask because this was from the acknowledgments
Hmm.
in your book.
Hmm.
So you mentioned in the very first paragraph, you thanked Cedric and you thank him for his support as you quote, dove headfirst into poetry with your habitual fervor for a
Hmm.
newfound passion. Then you go on to say, I've never had a motto, but if I did, I suppose it might be all or nothing.
Mhm.
And that resonated with me a lot because I have explored a number of artistic passions in my life. And anytime I've gone into one of them, it has been all or nothing because I never want those things to just be hobbies or something I get to in my spare time. Like if I'm going to be an actress, a musician, a writer, I want to be that thing. So I understand that deeply. Uh, so I know from my experience how this quality, I don't know what we want to call it, stubbornness, perseverance,
Yeah.
something pretty because
Hmm.
it's an
Yeah.
attractive quality in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Hmm.
But I'm curious how the quality has served you in your creative life in terms of reaching your goals, and how has it, if at all, challenged you to have that sort of mentality?
It served me because once I get into something, it's like I'm like a dog with a bone. I can't stop. And especially when I'm really enjoying something, I have to just know. It's like when I wrote the novel, it was all I wanted to do. Also at the time I'd injured myself and I couldn't ride.
Hmm.
I was a bit broken and I was a bit depressed and there was lots of stuff going on in our life that was really yuck actually. And it was just my escapism. It just took me, a million miles away from all the crap
Right.
in my life. And yeah, and other things too. I mean, when I do crochet, like at the moment, I keep crocheting shawls. So I just keep doing
Yeah.
one shawl after another. And I just, because I always have to do something with my fingers.
Hmm.
Even when I'm watching TV, if I'm not doing something, I feel like I'm wasting time. So I
Well, crocheting is a beautiful thing to do while you're doing something like
exactly.
watching TV
Yeah.
because you can do both. I think it
Hmm.
might be harder to write a poem while you're watching TV, but maybe you could if it's about what you're watching. So, when you start really going for something, do you have an end goal in mind, or is it really just about continuing
Do I have an
along?
end goal?
Yeah, like when you started with the poetry, were you thinking in the back of your mind, I'll have a book someday?
No. No, it was just basically something to keep me sane
Hmm.
because I was very depressed. So it was something that lifted me out of that depression
Right.
because I honestly didn't know when I was going to get out of being sick. I mean, it took 4 years for them to find something that stabilized me.
Yeah.
And it's only since the last 2 months, that I've been able to do things again to be more or less free. I mean, there were certain periods in the last 4 years when I was a little bit better because of like taking cortisone or other things that just for
Right.
a couple of weeks that allowed me a little bit of freedom, but it just really kept me sane ish.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful.
Hmm.
Because I think what has happened for me in the past, pretty much with any passion that I've explored, is it gets to the point where I want it to be a source of income and stability for me.
Hmm.
And when it can't be that thing, I become a little bit embittered toward it. This
Okay.
is like the danger for me of going all in on something is I can't separate myself from it. And then it becomes like, oh, if I'm not achieving these
Yeah.
goals,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
then I'm not succeeding as this thing. But I'm curious now that you have a book out and you have another one coming out, there's like this little bit of, okay, you're going to be a pseudo businesswoman in this artistic endeavor too.
Hmm.
Have you struggled at all with the shift, of suddenly having a book to sell, for instance,
Yeah.
that it's not just,
It's hard to know what to do that, which is one of the reasons I went to the UK and did a photo shoot with my daughter the other day. I wanted to have something that would serve me to do that,
mm-hmm,
and to meet some other artistic people who were there on the shoot, who work in social media, who do, just to chat. So,
yeah.
and I forgot what the question was.
No, it was just if you've struggled at all with, the business side of
Yeah,
things.
yeah, it's like I do. I never feel like the
Right.
cleverest person in the room when I'm doing those things. I always feel like everybody's cleverer than me. I tend to get a bit
Yes.
intimidated
Mhm.
by people, so then I think, oh, I'm just going to try my best,
Yes.
and I'm just so enjoying the whole process. It's so joyful for me because I kind of came out of nowhere, the Emperor thing.
Hmm.
So for me, it was, yeah, for me, it's just pure joy.
Well, I love that.
And now that because I am started writing the sequel
Yes.
to the book,
Hmm.
that is even more joyful because I get to do it all over again. And
Yes. That is wonderful. And I've been waiting. So this novel that's being published by Empress, it's the fourth of five that I have written.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
at the time I was doing like you said, all I wanted to do was write these books. And I basically wrote them back to back. Like maybe I took 2 weeks off in between and then I was like
yeah,
right into the next book because I was so just immersed in the process of like creating people and giving them a world and putting them through these adventures and
mhm,
everything.
mhm,
And then I kind of hit that point where I'm like, okay, now what am I going to do to get these books into the world? And that's where that
yeah,
business piece comes in, where you have to make connections and you have to network and you have to
mhm,
at least
mhm,
try to learn something about how this works. And then you realize that it's just a giant zoo and nobody really knows what they're doing. And a lot of it's luck, which, my Empress story was very much, I just happened to be somewhere where Elisa was, and I happened to mention my book, and then that kind of just went from there. So it was
yeah,
a
yeah,
chance
yeah,
happening.
yeah. So that's super exciting for me. The fact that
Yes.
this is probably a weird thing to say, but I felt like there was no pressure really because
Right.
and I didn't, and it's something that was very important to me at this point in my life. I do not want any more pressure because I've been so ill for so long
Right.
that the last thing I need is to have, to have like a major stress moment or
Right.
to,
Well, and that takes some effort to keep those boundaries in place. And it sounds like you're doing a very good job of that. So I'm inspired.
I'm a very stressy person. I get
Oh,
very,
yes. Well, I think
yeah,
artists in general
yeah,
tend to
very.
be. We feel everything very intensely. So let's talk about your poetry and what, in my opinion, makes it so unique. So you didn't have any poetry experience. I actually wrote a poetry collection too, having no experience with writing poetry. There is a blurb on the back of your book that says, Francesca's poetry is divine. It's fresh and has the feel of simply having bubbled out of her and onto the paper. And I could not agree more. They all feel very immediate. You mentioned a little bit about how you approached the writing. You had a lot of prompts in the beginning, and when you ran out of prompts, you went looking for more. And you've written enough now that you're going to put out a second poetry book. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's actually have a second one ready to go. It's all already,
Really?
yeah, it's already
Wow.
put together.
Do you always have what you need, like on hand, like a pen and paper, just always so that if something hits you, you can stop and write it down? Or do things kind of hang around in your mind a little bit before you are able to get them out on paper?
If there's something that's there and it has to come like right now,
Yeah.
it's I do it on. I usually now I do it more on my phone. I do it on notes.
Yeah. Okay.
I've written like poems in lots of doctors'
Oh,
appointments
yeah. No,
in
that's
waiting
great.
rooms. Yeah, many came from
I
there.
wish I could get in the habit of doing that because I have my best ideas when I'm away from a desk and a piece of paper
Hmm.
and a pen. And I'm so resistant to doing it on my phone. I
I
think it's because
know.
it's not fast. And sometimes I'm driving, and you can't just
Yes,
write down.
you can record.
Yeah,
You can
you can
record.
voice notes. See, people do all this brilliant stuff, and I really need to start practicing those things because I think that's the best way to just log those ideas before they slip away because they come and go so
Yeah,
quickly.
I'm not very good at voice notes, so I mean, I don't think I could write a poem just on voice notes because my brain, I think I don't know if it sort of chokes on itself and it just spins too fast and everything gets a bit tangled. So I have to play with things later on the computer to
Yes. Well, that was my other question was, how much time do you spend once the initial words are out, sort of revising?
on a poem.
Yeah, the poems.
It depends. I mean, some of them, especially the quite small ones, they sort of came almost fully formed,
Yeah,
almost. Yeah, I wouldn't say fully formed. That would be a bit pretentious, but
that's all right. Sometimes that's how it works.
some of them I spent a lot of time on some of them. And sometimes I felt that when I started playing too much, they lost their spark.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I feel with poetry, especially fiction's a little bit different because I think you can always find a better word for
Okay.
something or a different
Yeah.
way of saying something. But with poetry, so much of it is emotional and so much of it is felt
Hmm.
that you don't want to mess. Even if the word, like sometimes in poems, I'll use a word, I'm like, wow, that's the most basic word I could use there. But that's the word.
I know.
Sometimes the most basic word really, really communicates what you want to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah. Sometimes you want to be a bit too clever or and it's like, well, no.
Right. Well, and I
Yeah.
appreciated that about your work, that it was very accessible. And
I think so.
yeah, I definitely, it's interesting. I could see myself in some of the poems, and I could see you in so many of them. And what I've noted too is that your poetry, it's almost exclusively joyful. There were some poignant ones and some that were like a little bit, I don't want to say angry, but you could tell there was some frustration behind them. If you get a chance to read mine when I send it, I wrote my poems during a very angsty time.
Hmm.
And it's kind of apparent. That was kind of how I fed my soul, was kind of getting, because I don't like writing essays about things when I'm having a hard time.
Hmm.
But with poetry, I feel like I can express it in a way that's a little less direct and lets me do that in a way that someone else might actually enjoy and not just feel like, oh, what is she whining about today?
Yes. Yeah. Or might read something completely different into it, which is
Right,
also
exactly, exactly. So I'm curious what kinds of things inspire your poems. Now that I've read all of them, I know that nature plays a big part. The
yeah.
things that you're, seeing, and obviously relationships.
Hmm. Yeah, a lot of the sort of the more romantic ones.
Mhm.
Um, oh well, the illicit croissant at dawn was actually because when my husband and I first got together, he when he decided to leave his ex-girlfriend and he showed up at my apartment at like 7 o'clock in the morning before going to work with
Mhm.
croissant, as you say in America.
Uh, I just say croissants, but
Yeah, croissant.
croissants.
So that was that one. And some of the other ones are just based on, old boyfriends or
Mhm.
old crushes or
I love that
yeah.
stuff.
And then the one about the frogs, the one about the frogs who are making a big noise in the middle of the night. That's actually true.
Yeah.
They lived in a house with a pond and it just drove us insane. And we'd have to go frog catching in the middle of the night because you can only catch.
Yes, that one felt very true to me in that it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
sort of outrageous, but it's funny because the
Hmm.
title of it is it Froggies in Love or
You know?
yes, and so you go into it thinking I was like, oh, it's going to be this sweet story about these frogs falling in love, and then you're like, no, it's about these poor people that live next to their nonsense and have to like
Yeah.
get up and
Yeah. Yeah.
relocate them.
Uh-huh. Yes, yes. So
So I love
yeah,
that.
they were relocated in to this natural reserve up the road. I would, my husband would go to work in the morning and I'd go up to the natural reserve with a bucket full of frogs in the back of the car,
Well, because yeah,
set
once
them
they
free.
have babies, then they're just everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Oh my
mean,
goodness.
yeah, yeah. The people who lived in the house before us, who we bought the house from, they enjoyed having the frogs. And we're like, how
Yeah.
can you?
Oh yeah.
But they ended up with in big trouble with the neighbors, and because sending registered mail to each other because this poor woman could not sleep.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, they can get very noisy. So it doesn't feel like, now you mentioned that you hadn't written poetry before. I hadn't either. So, like, the subtitle of my poetry collection is Poetry Without Borders because I did not follow
Hmm.
any kind of
That's a good
rules.
one.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And it seems like you don't either. Like, sometimes there's rhyme and sometimes there isn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you said you hadn't read much poetry either, because one of my questions was, have you been inspired by anybody else's poetry, or is this just all you?
Mhm. Oh, no, I hadn't hardly read any poetry when I started writing.
Yeah.
Then I got completely obsessed and sort of bought every single poetry book on the planet, of course, because
Right.
that's another thing about being extreme is when I start to buy something, I have to have them all.
Yep. Exactly.
So yeah, I just spent my life buying books from Amazon because in Switzerland, that's the only place I can get them from because there's very few English language bookshops, sadly.
Oh, yes.
Because you see, I don't live in an Anglophone country, so for me, trying to do all this stuff is
Yeah, there's a
that's
little bit of
another.
a challenge there. So, is there a book that you've picked up by another poet that you've fallen in love with in particular?
Um, obviously the one my brain's gone. I'm having a brain
That's all right.
moment.
I can edit out the brain stall later and
Okay,
it'll appear like it
okay.
never happened. So,
Maya Angelou, duh.
wait, oh, Maya Angelou. I couldn't think of it either. So, there's too many names and numbers to remember now. So, we're lucky
Okay.
if we can even remember our own.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, so I invited you on the show specifically to talk to you about poetry because I like to explore different topics for my listeners who, the podcast is for fiction writers, but I'm a fiction writer and I've dabbled in poetry. And so I think it can be a fun outlet for
Mhm.
trying something new in its terms of like storytelling.
Yes. I wrote a book review in the plane yesterday, as a haiku.
Oh, I love that. I love haiku. So haiku is something that I used to do from prompts. There's a guy named Jason. What is his last name? What's say it again?
On Substack. On
Yes.
Substack.
Weirdo Poetry is the name of his Substack.
Yeah.
Can't remember his last name, but he would do a weekly haiku prompt. And I did those for a while, and those were
Mhm.
great. And same thing with like microfiction, which a friend of mine, Justin Deming, who's been on the show, he does a monthly 50-word story prompt. So you just get the prompt and then you just have to write a story in 50 words. And sometimes those like smaller snippets.
I've never done that.
Oh, it's
Ever, ever,
fun. I
ever.
bet you would be wonderful at
Mhm.
it too, because some of your poetry really reads like fiction. You have some that are like stories.
Yes, the one about the going to the ladies at the spa who were going, they only read good poetry.
Oh, I loved that one. Was that autobiographical, by the way? I had,
Yeah. Yeah. But
oh,
they only, well, that was we, I only read good fiction.
oh
That
yeah.
was what was said to me once.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness.
Yes.
Who are these people?
So that was my little
Yes,
revenge.
you're like, well, I'm just going to write a poem about you now, so I'm fine with this. So, just moving on to your fiction and your novel, Just Like a Movie. You had actually published this book on your own prior to it being picked up by
I
Empress,
have.
correct? Okay.
This book was written probably about just over 20 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I wrote the book during also a very quite a sad moment in my life when a lot of stuff in between my husband's family and my family, my husband's family and my family there was a lot of issues, a lot of bad stuff going on. And so I escaped every day to Ibiza and wrote this story. And it took me 18 months to write the book. And then I started querying agents, and I got an agent in 5 minutes. I got an
Wow.
agent, a really big agent in the UK, and she was sure it was going to become like this huge thing. And it was sent to all the big publishers in England initially. And the first one we was actually Penguin, and the women were all saying, "Oh, we could get Mark Wahlberg to play the lead," and they were completely going. And that's like, but not Mark Wahlberg, sorry,
Yeah.
but you know, but it was supposed to be this huge thing, and then nothing happened. I mean,
Yeah.
over and over and over. And then my agent said to me, "Well, Cheska, write something else, but write something even better." And I just choked.
Yeah.
And I spent 2.5 years writing a book with a lovely idea, great. The storyline was fantastic, but I couldn't write it because I was just completely in my own way.
This is what's happened to me in the past too. And this is where keeping your boundaries in place for the joy piece is so important because my book did win an award. And so I've had a number of times where I thought the book was going to catch on. I never got an agent or anything, but you hear this story so many times. Like
Yeah.
you get the big thing, everyone's talking about it, and then it just drifts. And it's so discouraging and disappointing.
Mm.
But what people were telling me when I couldn't get it to, you know, get the attention of an agent was like, oh, well, you just got to write something else. And I'm like, I can't just write something else. This book came
Yeah.
from somewhere.
Yeah.
I can't just, and I think there are people who can just churn out formulaic stuff, but that's
Yeah.
never been
Yeah.
me. And I
I
can tell
can't,
that's not
I
you
can't do
either.
that. No. No, this book was so, but the thing is, I managed, then I got rid of my agent. And a few years later, it was actually picked up by a very small press in the States who did mostly smut, to be honest. So my book was completely out of place, but it did win like also a little award and, but I always believed in this book. I don't know. This book, I knew it deserved another chance.
Yeah.
So just before COVID, I got my rights back, and then I got sick. So it took me until 23 to do a massive re-edit and to publish it myself on Amazon. And then Elisa saw it, and
Yeah. I think it's helpful for people to hear the different ways that books become what they are.
yeah, I think so too. But they don't, and they refuse to go away.
Yeah. And I was the same way with my book that is finally getting published. Like I just didn't want to put it down.
Let it die.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And I think that's important. If you're going to be behind it and trying to sell it, you have to love it. It can't
you have
just
to
be,
believe in it.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. But just like the movie went to Miramax, it went to Sony Films, it stayed with Sony Films for months. So,
Oh my gosh, you must have been just like chewing on your fingernails and
oh. It was a
Yeah, talk about
nightmare.
stress.
I
You're
was,
just like, could someone just
yeah.
throw me a line here and tell me what's happening?
And I didn't write for 20 years after that.
You didn't write or you did?
I didn't.
Wow. Did you have to make a lot of updates to the story just based on how much has happened in 20 years? Like in the world?
Not really, because it's still set in the same timeline. It
Yeah.
was set in 2000, so I just went back and I took out some things that you can't really say anymore. That
Right.
I can't think of any particular examples right now. But there were certain things where I don't know, you can't really say that
Right.
anymore. It's not politically correct. But I think also the fact that I've in the last few years I've written so much. I think my writing has probably improved,
Yeah.
so I was able to see things that I could improve on. So yeah, I worked on that.
I found the same when I was able to get my editorial review for C. Smile, and I just finished.
How was that?
Oh, it was great. I just finished my edits, but like in the past, when I've thought about editing the book simply to get it more appealing for an agent, it was next to impossible for me to
Hmm.
make changes or make cuts. I'm like, I have no direction. And so having an actual editor
Yes.
give me the feedback, knowing that when I follow through on the feedback, the book's going to get published,
Yeah.
as opposed to just maybe someone will like it after I,
Mm.
slice it into bits and put it back together again. And plus, I just feel like she understood what I was trying to say. And that was huge. Like she pulled on all the threads
Yeah.
that I had put in there. And that just feels really good when someone
Hmm.
gets what
Hmm.
you're trying to do with something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was excellent. It was a very good experience. And I'm glad that it's done because it was a lot of work. Editing is a lot of work. So I kind of understand now what inspired you to write the story and what kept you engaged with writing it. And I'm curious now how different or how similar is your process for getting words on paper? Like when you're writing a novel versus poetry, like does it feel different when you're in it? Or is it pretty much the same? You're just kind of absorbed and
I'm absorbed,
yeah.
completely absorbed in it. Yeah, I just lose myself in it. And especially now that I'm writing the sequel to Just Like a Movie,
Mhm.
um, it's just so much fun, to revisit the same people and
Oh,
to,
yes.
yeah, yeah. It's
I wrote a follow-up to the novel that's coming out now. So the kids are in senior year of their high school.
okay.
And so I wrote just for me, honestly, just for fun, I wrote a sequel that's 10 years later. So they're considerably more grown up. And so they can get into
Hmm.
considerably more interesting situations. But I just loved playing with them again.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. I would do it again too, now that I know this one's coming out. And I'm like, ooh, maybe it's time to give one of those side characters a little something to do.
Yeah. It's sad when you finish the story and you all of a sudden you're like, I mean, I can still remember exactly the day, the moment I finished. I wrote the last line of Just
Me
Like a Movie.
too. Me too.
And I remember thinking, oh shit.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that line was going to be the end, but when I wrote it, I knew it was. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
It feels so good, but it's very bittersweet. For me, the next step is always print it out and then read it.
Yes.
Like that is like might be my favorite part of the process is just holding it and just turning the pages and reading the
Mm,
whole thing. The
mhm,
whole
mhm.
messy first draft
Yeah.
thing, but even still.
Do you do a hugely messy first draft, or do you have to like get out the first draft like as it just comes, or do you keep going back and editing?
I always seem to like I'll write a chapter and then the next day I'll go back and make some fine tuning before I move on. So I do sort of edit as I go.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I've never because I like it to be readable, and if
Me
I
too.
can't read it, I'm like, I gotta fix this so I
No.
can read
Mhm,
it.
mhm. Yeah,
Yeah,
I get very picky about that. I have to. In fact, I'll go back many times
yeah,
and fiddle and fiddle and fiddle, and then sometimes that's why I tend to be sometimes quite slow.
yeah.
But
18 months is not slow. I mean, mine were like really fast, my first drafts, but since then I haven't been able to get through like 3 chapters of anything new because I'm just stuck. But I always say when I'm done with a first draft, for me, it's more like a draft and a half.
okay, yeah.
Because some people really do that messy first draft, but I've never really written one of those because I need to be able to read it and enjoy it
Hmm.
like it's a
Hmm.
book.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you share it with anybody else as you go?
Well, now I do more because I have more writing friends since I started, engaging online and things like that. But in the beginning, I would give it to my husband first, which is
Mm.
funny because they're YA, young adult romances. So, 45-year-old man is not the target audience, but he's my husband and he loves me. So, and he loved the books. And then also my parents, again, not my target audience. But now I have some more, I've met some people like just through Substack
Yeah.
And I also have a writing group from when I wrote all my novels, I was taking a class on writing for children. So like children's books through young adult. And I still meet with those ladies.
Hmm.
It's now like it used to be weekly, but now we're getting all pulled apart a little bit, but we try to meet like once a month. And a couple of them have read all of my novels, like in their early phases.
Hmm.
And I have one that I'm serializing now on Substack,
Yes, I know. I've read that. I've
which is
read some
kind
of
of
it, not
new.
all of it.
Yeah.
I'm a bit behind, but it's really good.
Thank you. So I have a question from, Beth Lizagorski.
Yeah.
So she had a question specifically about your novel, and
Hmm.
if you were willing to share who the pop star is that inspired your leading man.
Who do you think?
Well, you talk about Ricky Martin a lot.
Well, there you go.
Well, there you go. Okay, so Ricky Martin. I'm a big
Hmm.
Ricky Martin fan.
Yeah. I'm seeing him again in June in Switzerland, probably about my 11th time or something. Yeah.
He still looks the same.
Yeah, he looks more buff now. Like,
Had work done.
but he looked really good.
He had a little spot at the Super Bowl halftime show. I don't know if
Yeah.
you caught that.
Yes, I did. I saw.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, it was sweet. So for those who don't know, in the book, the book starts on an airplane and there's a divorcee who's heading off on a little adventure and she ends up seated next to this
Emilio Caliente.
very famous pop star.
Mhm.
Yes, Emilio Caliente. And rom-com ensues. I
Yeah.
love it. I love that whole scene where they're chatting with the candy in his lap and
Mhm.
it's great. Okay, so the last thing I want to ask you about is your newsletter, because in addition to writing poetry, books, and novels, you're also writing quite a bit on your newsletter. I notice you post pretty frequently on there.
Yeah, I think a little bit less frequently recently, although I did the Gaudi Imaginary interview last week, which was kind of fun.
Hmm.
I went to visit the Sagrada Familia, and I just did that. But yeah, I've done less recently because I've been working on writing
On your book.
my other book. So I yeah, it's a matter of my
Priorities.
brain doesn't always have space for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how everybody
I,
does everything. I look at, people like Elisa. She's got two newsletters and she's got her own novel coming out. And then she's got all these
I
crazy
know.
women authors that she's.
I know. And all the stuff that she has
I
to do
know.
it on the side and all yeah. Yeah.
It's a lot.
It's a
It's a
lot.
lot.
Yeah.
So your newsletter is called For Fun and Then Some.
Hmm.
So two questions. When did you start writing that? And what has been your goal for creating and sharing that publication in the world? Like what can subscribers
Um,
expect when they sign up?
well, when I first started, I think it was in late 23 when in the depth of my despair of my autoimmune disease,
Mm,
stuck at home, super sick. And it was just somewhere I was hoping to meet some people online because I was so isolated.
yeah.
I didn't see anyone because I couldn't go anywhere. And having been an equestrian for 20, all my life really, but all of a sudden my friends just dropped off the face of the earth. So I was alone with my husband, my lovely husband, and just my poem. So I thought, well, I need to, find people to talk to.
Yeah.
So that's what I did, and I posted, and then I started posting my poetry, and then someone said, I think about a year later, someone said, "Oh, why don't you think about, making a poetry book out of it?" So,
Yeah.
so I thought, oh, okay, well, I can try to do that. So I asked my daughter if she wanted to, and it's for me, I think when I write, my intention is always to entertain people,
Mine
to
too.
make
Yep.
people, to make people smile, to make people laugh, to take people away from all the terrible stuff that's just constantly all the time, every day.
Hmm.
And I feel like it's getting worse every day.
Yeah.
There's always something.
You need to step away from
Yeah.
that constant barrage of
Mhm.
bad news and just consume something positive. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it was to entertain myself and to entertain other people because I just like to I'm a massive people pleaser, but also in my writing. So, it's a
Yeah.
sort of double whammy. So if I don't get if people don't like it, it makes me sad.
Oh, no, I'm the same way. Yeah, it's hard not to take that personally when your goal is to make people
Mhm.
happy and they're like, "No,
Mhm.
thanks."
Yep. Nope. Nope.
But what's nice about it is I do think you can find some really loyal people. Like I've
True.
some of the people that are still reading my newsletter. So I started in the fall of 2022.
Hmm.
I'm going on, 3.5 years. And a lot of people have drifted. And that part makes me sad. I think that makes me more sad than people who might just not read it at all. It's the people who are around for a while and then they just sort of go somewhere else.
But do you think they've gone, or is it the algorithm?
Well, I do wonder about that. I do wonder, and also just the way that the app is set up now, I
Yes.
miss a lot. Like I'm
Me
subscribed to
too.
more than I should be, but I definitely
Yeah.
miss people's posts if I'm not really paying
Hmm.
attention.
Hmm.
So it is easy to miss things, and you just
Yeah.
can't read everything either.
You
It's just
can't.
not,
I mean,
it's not possible.
I have way too many people because, and
Yeah.
every day I see things I want to read this and I want to subscribe to this and I just keep on
Mhm.
subscribing and then I think I had to come out of the because I was getting the emails and it was just flooding up I had like 65,000 unread emails.
That's too many. I don't think you're going to get to all of those. No, I turned my emails off a long time ago.
Mhm.
So, but you
Mhm.
do you do miss things. And it used to hurt my feelings more when people didn't read my stuff until I got
Yeah.
so busy and
Mhm.
realized how hard it is to keep up with
Yeah.
everyone. You
Hmm.
just you do your best and that's all any
You
of us
do.
can do. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so last question for you, Francesca.
Okay.
So, we know now that you're working on the sequel to Just Like a Movie.
Hmm.
Do you have a title for it?
Well, look, my working title is still like a movie.
Okay. Is it the same two people or are you
Yeah.
adding a new love interest? Okay, same. So same. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. But I had to switch it up a bit so to keep it because obviously you can't they're together now. So
Right.
the rom-com you can't they can't be untogether at the end of a rom-com. So
Right.
I had to
True.
switch up there.
And you've got your second poetry book coming. So now I want to know if there is, and this is just a speculation on your part. Is there another kind of writing or kind of art that you can see yourself maybe going all in on in the future? Has anything else ever sort of?
God. Well, I would love to have more hours in the day because I would love to start doing painting again because
Hmm.
I used to love to paint. I would love to make more things in crochet. I would love to get back to just making more things. I went through a phase where I made bags. I have a whole huge closet full of fabric that I've that I bought in America, that, I shipped in from the States, shipped in from England, shipped in from India, and I made all these amazing bags that some of them I sold.
Yeah. Well, I
But
wondered about that because you're very, places like Etsy and those sites where people make handmade things.
but you just have to make a choice at some point because you can't do everything. So as yes, you were saying about being extreme, I went extreme bag making. I was like the bag lady for a long
Yeah.
time.
Oh,
And then
I have quilting supplies in my upstairs attic that I
yeah,
haven't touched
it's
since my kids were
fun.
babies. Yeah.
It's so much fun.
It is fun.
And then because I have fibromyalgia as well as my intestinal thing. So when
Mhm.
the fibro really hit, I had a really bad neck injury, and I literally could not move my hands at all. So I was just
Oh, yeah.
basically flat on my back. So I couldn't make any more bags, and I couldn't even write, but I could listen to books. But
Hmm.
so yeah, I think I'm drifting a lot in my thought process right now.
That's all right.
Mm,
I think that's not a bad place to be. I sometimes get down on myself when I drift.
yeah.
Because I'm writing this young adult novel, and all of my novels, except for the one spin-off, have been young adult.
Hmm.
But my Substack is very different. So I've written a lot of sort of experimental short fiction and poetry, and I've done some, little films and things like that. And it's very different. So I've got almost like two audiences. And I sometimes look at that as a disadvantage. And maybe from a business standpoint, it is, but it makes me feel better to be able to
I think so. I
just
think
do
it's
what
good to be
feels
able to do
good.
things. Yeah.
Yeah. And just follow like
And
your,
then you can put all these things in your books too,
yeah. Oh, I definitely do that.
you know?
There are all these like little Easter eggs in there of,
Yeah. Yeah.
things that are
Hmm.
important to me or things that make me go,
Sure.
yay.
For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, I just want to thank you for coming and chatting with me and being here for my listeners. I actually had to forego my interview last month, so there's been a big gap, and I was really excited to
Oh,
just get
really?
back in and talk to you. So,
Hmm. Well, thank you. I was very t touched that you actually asked me because
oh,
this is my second only ever podcast.
well, you were lovely. I might even say this is one of the most relaxed
Yeah.
podcasts I've had. Even when I'm talking to people I know, I still get like nervous about the discussion. But I thought this went rather swimmingly. Yeah.
I've been very
Fantastic.
relaxed. Yeah.
Good. I'm glad. Well, look at where you are. No one else can see this. You're in this beautiful. How's the weather holding up? Are you sweating? It's gorgeous.
I am a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. But I am
Little
too,
bit.
and I'm indoors. That's just just part of being.
I'm going to go in my swimming pool after.
Oh,
so.
fantastic. Well, I won't keep you.
No, you can
Just keep an eye out, and I'll let you know when the episode will land, and then hopefully you can share it.
So how do you go about that? You just put it, is it only on Substack or where is it?
No, actually. So I will do all of my editing, and it's like I said, it's just audio. I don't do a video podcast, and that's mostly so I can do more editing because it's harder to edit video. And I just like audio podcasts myself personally. They're easier to take with you when you're walking or in the car.
Yeah.
And so I do the editing, and then I will publish it on Substack, which is where like the feed comes from for my podcast, but it also will be on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube podcasts, and all that jazz. So yeah, you can kind of listen to it wherever you listen to podcasts and share it in there. Yes. Well, thank you so much. And like I said, just hang tight, and we will talk again soon.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hey there. Thanks so much for listening. If you liked what you heard, you can let me know by hitting the like button, leaving a comment, rating, or review, depending on where you're listening, or by sharing this podcast with your favorite people. Talk Fiction is part of a dynamic anthology of short fiction, essays, poetry, humor, and multimedia experiments written and produced by me, Meg Olders. If you're into the stuff I'm making, or you're just into supporting the dynamic individual who makes it, I hope you'll consider becoming a free or paid subscriber at megolders.substack.com. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.